Boing, boing, boing. It's bouncing. Things are bouncing. What's bouncing, Mike? What's bouncing, Mike? I'll tell you what's
Bounce
bouncing.
backs.
Three quarterbacks bouncing back. Let's go, producer. Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz. He is Grindberg. I am bigz. We are coming at you live recording from our respective studios in Manitoba and California. And we're going to talk to you tonight about redraft quarterbacks that are going to bounce back. But first, hey, Mike, guess what?
What's up, man?
You know what I'm waiting on in the mail? Post.
Oh, the post. You are probably waiting on a parcel.
Yes, a parcel in the post is what I'm waiting on. I went to the FFAN website and into the merch store, and I ordered a fantasy forecast flat bill adjustable cap. And so hopefully it'll be here soon, and I will be sporting it in the show. How you like that?
How you like them apples, Biggs? We got some merch at the Fantasy Football Advice Network website merch shop. We have some...
I like those apples best made into cider. Shout out Golden State Cider, Sonoma, California. Shout out NorCal, hella NorCal. Not a sponsor, but hey, Golden State, reach out.
Shout out to the Fantasy Football Advice Network for putting these beautiful hats on the website, and there's other merch there you should check out because it is some pretty awesome stuff. So if you like what you hear from the forecast, you should support us and support what we got, and I'm about to go order myself one as well.
I like what I hear. That's why I ordered it. Also, I got the yellow build one, so you should go get the teal build one.
I will do that. Let's go.
Right. Okay. Let's get into this topic. Our topic today is redraft quarterbacks who are going to bounce back in 2024. Let's go three at a time. We'll count them down. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to go with number 3, Derek Carr, New Orleans Saints quarterback. I see him having a bounce back season. This is going to be his second season with the same offensive system, Dennis Allen's system. He's got Kamara back the whole year. Spoiler alert for the next episodes. Olave and Shaheed are going to develop that rapport with Derek Carr. And hopefully Juwan Johnson stays healthy all year. So, we're talking redraft, but if you're looking for a big ball stack, you could do worse than Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Juwan Johnson. Looks like it's going to be kind of a high-powered offense. My number 2 bounce back, I wanted to avoid talking about injury guys and just be performance-based bounce backs, but I had to include Joe Burrow. He's going to be coming off that injury that made him miss quite a few games last season, and NorCal Folsom High School legend Jake Browning came in and was his backup satisfactorily. So Joe Burrow back from injury, he's going to be my other bounce back candidate. Before I get into my number 1, Mike, do you have 2 bounce back candidates that you can tell me about?
I do, and I'm kind of going on like a very similar line with your first guy. I think they have some similarities in their situation. Derek Carr, Geno Smith, kind of in similar situations when you say they're surrounded with talent. And, Geno Smith, it's not to be overstated how great his 2022 season was. He was among the best quarterbacks in the league in tight window throws. He threw for 4,200 yards in passing and 30 touchdowns. Those big plays kind of slimmed down last year, and that was due to a lot of different factors. But, I think this year with the new coaching regime, JSN is 1 year removed from his rookie season. DK Metcalf is still the force to be reckoned with, and I think they just solidified Tyler Lockett for a little bit longer here. So, they've got the key pieces in place, and I think that, he's poised to have another decent season. I'm not going to say he's going to come back and be the 2022 form Geno Smith, but I think he's going to have a better season, and he's going to definitely be a guy you can play in Superflex leagues and the odd streaming quarterback situation when they're playing some divisional teams that, they end up being high-scoring games. So Geno Smith is a guy I think he's going to be having a bounce-back season. And then, my next guy is also a guy that, had a decent end of season last year, and he came back from an injury, and that's Kyler Murray, a dangerous dual threat quarterback. He will enter 2024 with more than a year removed from that ACL that ended his 2022 season. And when he came in week 10 last year, he played really well. He found his favorite target there in Trey McBride, and they did nothing but add weapons around Kyler Murray. Yes, they lost Marquise Brown, and Rondell Moore is no longer there as either, but they did bolster their offensive line, and also they brought in Marvin Harrison Jr., and he's going to be a great complement, Trey McBride to Marvin Harrison. And I just think that Kyler Murray, he's not far removed from a bunch of top 5 QB finishes in the NFL, and I think he's poised to have a good bounce back year in 2024. So Kyler Murray with his new weapons and a 1 year back from that ACL should have a bounce back season in 2024. Now, Biggs, the drum roll here. We need to know who you think is going to have the biggest bounce back year out of the quarterbacks. Who is it?
But first, hey, viewer, bring it in. Mike, you can sit this one out. Viewer, bring it in. One of my favorite things about Mike is, and I mean this with all of the love and respect in my heart, is how just about every episode I can count on him to create a new word. I don't know what dangerous means, but I'm going to start using it. All right. Let me get that drum roll. All right. My spotlight, my number one bounce back quarterback, and Mike is going to be surprised by this one if he didn't read the notes. But I'll just start by saying I gave this guy a lot of crap last year, and I changed his name from Bryce to Bust. My number one quarterback bounce back is Bryce Young, quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. All right, here's why he's a bounce back candidate and the most bounce back candidate for me. Number one, Dave Canales, the quarterback whisperer. All of the good that he did for Baker Mayfield last year, he has now landed in Raleigh or Charlotte. Is it Charlotte? I don't know. In Carolina. He's the quarterback whisperer. If anybody is going to turn Bryce Young's career around, it's going to be Dave Canales. They brought in Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson gets open. He is a target hog. 140, 150 targets is not out of the question for Johnson. Plus, Adam Thielen is there, and as long as he can stay healthy and on the field, he has already developed a good rapport with Bryce Young. They also went out and drafted Xavier Legette, who a lot of people out there are much higher on than I am, and he's going really high in dynasty rookie drafts, much higher than I am willing to draft him. But apparently, the entire fantasy football world thinks that Xavier Legette is going to be a good wide receiver. Jatavian Sanders, tight end of the Texas Longhorns last year, is another rookie that they brought in. Yes, Tommy Tremble is slotted in on the depth chart as the number one, but Jatavian Sanders is going to out-athleticize him all up and down the field, and it's going to be good for them. They also brought in Jonathan Brooks, who's going to add that running element that Chuba Hubbard couldn't bring last year and allowed huge stacked boxes where the defenses were getting after Bryce Young. Jonathan Brooks is going to kind of be able to be involved in the passing game. It's going to open up the defense a little bit, give Bryce Young a little bit more time. And UC Davis legend Ejiro Evero, defensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers. His defense is going to get the ball back to Bryce Young on quite a few occasions so that Bryce Young's possessions should be increasing. His drive should be increasing because of the offensive attack, the fact that he's got Dave Canales with him, and Ejiro Evero will be getting the ball to him. Let's not forget, and this could be the most important thing, let's look at some Hall of Fame quarterbacks and what they did First year to second year, they had big jumps. Troy Aikman, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, all of them had lower completion percentages in their first seasons than Bryce Young did. And they all bounced back to have breakout second years and then go on to Hall of Fame careers. We can't forget that Bryce Young was the number one drafted player in the NFL in 2023, not just the number one quarterback. He was the number one player overall. For whatever Frank Reich's weirdness is that he had Bryce Young over CJ Stroud and that didn't play out over the course of the season, don't forget that Bryce Young was at Alabama. He was Nick Saban's guy. He was Frank Reich's guy. He was the number one drafted overall player in 2023. That carries a lot of weight. The Carolina Panthers are going to ride or die with Bryce Young and give him a shot. And if he has a second-year jump the way those other Hall of Famers does, he might be back in our good graces and talked about again as a legitimate quarterback one in the NFL. Bryce Young is my number one.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to bounce. Like he's got to get some rebound there because he didn't bounce at all last year, and I think a little bit of a bounce back is definitely in order. He's definitely been surrounded with some more talented receivers. Dave Canales, like you had mentioned, is gonna, he is the quarterback whisperer. We saw what he did with Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith in 2 consecutive years, mind you. So if he can do this as a third one, wow, that guy is gonna be in line for a huge promotion. So let's see what goes on there. But I love that.
The other thing about Bryce Young is that you're not taking him as your QB1. You're taking him as your QB2 late rounds in redraft. And he's not going to be it's not going to be hard to drop him. And if he doesn't have a bounce back year, which I'm saying he's going to, but if he doesn't, it's going to be easy to write him off for the next 2, 3, 4 years until finally he can get his feet under him. But he's going to be a good value, and I think he's going to bounce back big time.
Mm-hmm. All right. Do you folks want to hear who my bounce back player is?
I do.
Any indication? Do you think I am I wearing a color or two? Do you think you got an indicator here at all of who my guy might be?
No.
Okay, well, fantasy managers might have a case of recency bias because they've been scared off for drafting Patrick Mahomes in 2024 after his disappointed 2023 season in which he finished as the QB8, far off his normal pace. He averaged just 261 passing yards last season, the fewest in his last 6 years. As the starting quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, the Chiefs haven't been successful throwing the ball downfield since Tyreek Hill's departure, even though they've won a pair of Super Bowls without him. Last year, 23 quarterbacks fired at least 47 passes, 20-plus yards downfield. You know where Mahomes ranked among those quarterbacks, Biggs?
Last.
Dead last, yes. Mahomes as a passer rating.
I got it right?
You did get it right, yes.
I was totally guessing.
Yeah, he was dead last. Bear in mind the Chiefs dropped a lot of passes downfield the last couple of seasons, and I'm sure the brass and Patrick Mahomes were electing to get the ball downfield unless they absolutely needed to, like they did in the playoffs. Mahomes needed a wide receiver that could catch the ball. The drop percentage was 20% on catchable deep passes, by far the highest number in the league. They only had 2 touchdowns downfield throws all year. Xavier Worthy and Marquise Brown could be the difference makers. They are more sure-handed receivers, and they bring the speed factor that can stretch the shit out of the field. Explanation is that Mahomes simply didn't have enough pass-catching firepower last year outside of Travis Kelce and, Rashee Rice, who is now in trouble in 2024. Mahomes had a down season in production, fantasy-wise. He did put the team on his shoulders to win those back-to-back Super Bowls with probably the worst supporting cast he will ever have in his career. So there is a ton of room for improvement in 2024. Reinforcements are on the way. The Kansas City Chiefs have added 2 elite quality speedster wide receivers by signing Marquise Brown that runs a 4.27 and moving up in the first round to pick Xavier Worthy, who runs a 4.21. But best of all, they both have reliable hands. So Mahomes is set to blast off at 28, is 15-2 as a starter in the playoffs, throwing 46 touchdowns and only 9 interceptions. Mahomes is now tied for third all-time with the most Super Bowl wins by a quarterback alongside Aikman and Morrell. By winning his third Super Bowl MVP award, he now moves into elite company alongside Joe Montana, and he is now in the GOAT conversation. We all know Mahomes brings to the table. It's simple. He's as prolific as he gets at the position, and now he is back in the position to be a top 3 quarterback in 2024. Patrick, you're my homie, bro. Let's go. 2024 Patrick Mahomes.
I'm not going to bring up the drops that Marquise Brown had while he was in Baltimore. I'm also not going to bring up the fact that among all the superlatives and accolades that Mahomes gets, he's still 0-1 on Christmas Day against the Raiders.
And
that's for another show.
And they get the Raiders after on the road against the 49ers. So that's going to be a tough schedule for my Chiefs, and they get the Raiders, who I'm not looking forward to those games. I'm telling you that.
I mean, we play each other twice a year. So
yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and like, subscribe, hit the bell. Go over to FFAN and Fantasy Football Advice Network. Make an account. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at BigBonedFFB. He's at FFCanuck99. Go get our merch. We got cool fucking hats, and I ordered mine already. Next time, we'll be talking about bounce back wide receivers. Spoiler alert, one of mine is connected to Patrick. So thank you guys, and we hope you win.
Hope you win. Peace out, folks. Fantasy Football Advice Network on the outs.